The glass shattered against the scarred oak floor with a deafening crash that cut through the low hum of dusty corner like a thunderclap, silencing the scattered patrons in the dimly lit roadside bar on the outskirts of Chicago, where the relentless rain pounded against the tin roof like an unending drumbeat of foreboding. In that frozen moment, Victor Kane's meaty fist gripped the collar of the young black waitress who'd been quietly wiping down tables. Her lithe frame barely reaching his chest, her dark curls tied back in a practical ponytail that framed her unassuming face under the flickering neon glow of beer signs. His breath, reeking of cheap whiskey and unbridled arrogance, washed over her as he snarled, "You think you're tough, little girl? This joint pays up, or it burns, simple as that." Aisha Johnson, 25 years old, and working part-time to make ends meet while honing her black belt karate skills in a hidden dojo downtown, kept her eyes lowered, her body language a mask of submission that belied the coiled strength within a legacy inherited from her father, the federal agent whose memory she guarded like a sacred flame. But in precisely 12 minutes, Victor would be sprawled on the floor, begging for mercy, his notorious Black Vipers gang scattering into the storm like rats fleeing a flood, all because of a revelation tied to a simple necklace that would expose the depths of his past crimes and her unbreakable resolve. The tension had simmered for half an hour before that glass hit the ground, the Black Vipers roaring in on their customized choppers just after dusk, their engines growling through the downpour, shaking the puddles in the gravel lot and sending a chill through the regulars who knew trouble when it arrived wrapped in leather and chains. This wasn't their first hit in the area rumors swirled of bars torched in the dead of night, owners beaten senseless in accidents that screamed foul play, investigations stalled by terrified witnesses who valued their lives over justice. Aisha had spotted them from behind the bar while polishing glasses with methodical precision, each swipe a ritual of control learned from years of karate katas. Her movements fluid yet exact, a habit drilled into her by her father during backyard sessions where he'd blend FBI tactics with martial arts philosophy, teaching her that true power lay in restraint. Jake, the lanky bartender in his early 30s with a perpetual 5 o'clock shadow and a nervous habit of cracking his knuckles, had paled at the sight of their viper-emblazoned vests, whispering, "That's them, the Black Vipers, the ones who hit that spot in Englewood last month. God, we're screwed." She'd nodded without a word, continuing her tasks. Though Jake had noticed in the 6 months she'd worked there how she always positioned herself with her back to the wall, scanning the room with peripheral vision sharpened by drills that mimicked urban combat scenarios her dad had described from his undercover days, Victor Kane made his entrance like a storm front, all 6'3" of him bursting through the swinging doors with arms flung wide, his pockmarked face twisted in a predatory grin that exposed yellowed teeth, a snake tattoo coiling from his neck down his arm, vanishing under a sleeve rolled up to reveal scarred knuckles from countless brawls. His 8 cohorts fanned out in a formation Aisha instantly clocked as amateurish, covering exits sloppily, posturing more for show than strategy, their boots thudding against the warped floorboards like warnings. "Evening, folks," Victor boomed. To the dozen or so patron truckers nursing drafts, off-duty warehouse workers playing pool, couple of retired cops sipping coffee in the corner, his voice laced with mock friendliness that barely concealed the venom beneath. "Just here for a chat about keeping things safe around these parts." The customers shifted uneasily, avoiding eye contact, while Officer Ramirez, a 52-year-old veteran of the Chicago PD, who'd seen his share of gang wars, set his mug down slowly, his hand drifting toward his concealed carry, his jaw tightening as he sized up the intruders. Aisha approached their cluster with her notepad, gaze averted, voice soft and deferential. "What'll it be, gentlemen?" That's when the ugliness sparked one of the Vipers, A wiry thug with a buzz cut and meth-ravaged skin slapped her backside. As she passed, leering, "How about you fetch it with a smile, sweetheart? You look like you belong in the kitchen, not slinging drinks." The racial slur he tacked on hung in the air like poison, eliciting snickers from his pals, but stony silence. From the bar, Aisha sidestepped with a grace that seemed accidental, but was a calculated evasion honed in sparring rings. Continuing to jot orders without flinching, her composure a shield that only inflamed their egos. Jake gripped the bar rail, ready to jump in, but she shot him a subtle glance, signaling to hold back, knowing any spark could ignite a blaze. The Vipers demanded pitchers of beer, insisting on comps, and Aisha served them efficiently, her steps economical, dodging grabs with subtle shifts that spoke of years perfecting footwork in karate dojos, where she'd earned her black belt at 20, under instructors who'd marveled at her speed. A gift from her father's genes and his relentless training sessions before his final mission. Victor's attention locked onto her like a hawk spotting prey, his eyes narrowing with a blend of contempt and intrigue as she cleared a nearby table. "Hey, you the waitress. Where's the boss? We got business." "Mr. Dusty is out of town on family matters," Aisha replied quietly, not lifting her eyes. "I'm handling things tonight." "Well then," Victor lumbered to his feet, towering over her, his shadow swallowing her 5'6" frame. "You'll relay the message. Tell him the Black Vipers offer protection for this dive $2,000 a month, and no accidents happen." Aisha kept wiping the table in steady circles, her cloth moving with the precision of a kata strike. "I'll pass it along." Victor's temper frayed, his growl deepening. "You don't get it, do ya? This ain't optional. Every spot from here to the loop pays the price, break-ins, fires, whatever it takes." "And for a girl like you," he sneered, layering on the racial undertone, "it'd be a real shame if things got ugly." His crew tightened their circle. A flawed intimidation tactic. Aisha mentally dissected the one by the jukebox limped slightly, probably a knee injury. The pair near the darts board were all blustered, distracted by their own egos. Victor himself stood too close, invading her personal space in his overconfidence, oblivious to the reactionary gap she'd exploit if needed. Her fingers brushed the silver necklace tucked under her shirt, a dog tag-style pendant engraved with her father's FBI badge number. Warm against her skin, a talisman from the man who'd raised her alone after her mother's passing, teaching her self-defense in the garage of their modest Southside home, blending karate with street smarts from his undercover ops against cartels. He'd been a legend in the Bureau, taking down syndicates single-handedly. But the Black Vipers had targeted him years ago, mocking his integrity, assaulting him during a botched raid that left him mortally wounded. His last words to Aisha, a whispered promise: "Strength isn't in the fight, it's in the stand." She'd moved to this quiet gig at Dusty Corner, seeking anonymity, a place to blend while working toward her dream of opening a self-defense academy for at-risk youth, pouring drinks for locals who didn't pry into her nightmares of that fateful night when agents carried his body home. But danger had a knack for finding those forged in fire, even those trying to fade into the shadows. Aisha palmed her reinforced phone discreetly, a rugged device with encrypted apps inherited from her dad's contacts. Equipped with panic buttons she'd vowed not to use, but habits lingered. She pocketed it, refocusing. "Look," Victor pressed, patience thinning. "I'm being generous, but you're testing me. Convince your boss to cough up, and maybe there's a cut for you. What do you make here? Peanuts from these losers. We could hook you up better." "I'm fine, thanks," Aisha said, finally meeting his gaze, her brown eyes steady, which only stoked his fury. That's when he seized her arm, digits digging in like clamps, bruising her ebony skin. "Listen, you uppity little hands off her." Officer Ramirez rose, his voice booming with authority, tempered by decades on the force. His stance was solid, off-duty, but unflinching. Victor chuckled, not releasing. Her. And who's gonna stop me? Outnumbered and outmatched, old man. But Ramirez held firm, and Aisha noted several patrons stirring at least 3 with law enforcement vibes. Faded badges on keychains or telltale postures from academy days, ready to back him if it escalated. The air crackled with potential. Violence glasses clinking anxiously, the jukebox's blues riff feeling ironically out of place. "It's okay, officer," Aisha murmured. "They're leaving soon." Victor yanked her nearer, his free hand snatching her collar. "You don't call the shots, girl. We leave after teaching you some manners." Chairs scraped as more customers stood, Jake clutching a baseball bat from under the counter. But Victor's rage zeroed in on Aisha, intent on shattering her calm. "Your problem is, you think you're equal," he hissed, face inches from hers, breath foul. "Time to put you in your place." Aisha remained statue still, breathing regulated, weight balanced on her toes. Body angled for leverage to onlookers. She appeared frightened, but Ramirez, with his combat scars from gang busts, spotted the cues, the poised readiness, the calculated serenity. "Last chance," Victor growled. "Call your boss, or we start breaking things starting with you." "Can't do that," Aisha replied evenly. That's when he tore her shirt, the fabric ripping with a sharp tear, exposing her tank top beneath. But it was the necklace that dangled free that shifted everything, the silver pendant gleaming under the lights, engraved with Special Agent Marcus Johnson, FBI in service and sacrifice. Flanked by a tiny karate black belt charm her father had added on her promotion day. The room went deathly quiet, even the rain seeming to pause. Across Aisha's collarbone, subtle scars from childhood training mishaps and a recent sparring bruise narrated her discipline. But the pendant spoke volumes, a direct link to the agent Victor had tormented years ago. Victor froze, hands still on the torn cloth, his mind reeling to process the connection. His crew blanched, their bravado dissolving. "Johnson," one whispered, recognition dawning. Aisha's posture evolved subtly, shoulders straightening, chin rising, voice shedding its meekness. "Mr. Kane, you owe me a shirt." The bar's atmosphere inverted like a storm clearing. Patrons murmured, phones appearing to record. Victor's expression cycled from shock to terror, dropping the fabric as if scorched. "How do you know my name?" he stammered. Aisha turned deliberately, letting the pendant catch the light fully. "Victor Kane, ex-con turned Viper leader. Dishonorably linked to my father's death, assaulted him during that warehouse raid in 18. Mocked his badge while he bled out. Founded the Black Vipers to run rackets ever since, tied to 7 arsons, 4 assaults, whispers of worse." From a booth, an older woman rose, Detective Alina Vargas, retired FBI liaison who'd worked with Marcus, her face alight with memory. "Aisha Johnson, your dad was the best, took down the Viper precursors single-handed. I was there for the debriefs." Aisha nodded faintly. "He mentioned you, ma'am. Said you covered his back in that sting op." Another regular, a former dojo mate named Tyrone Hayes, who'd sparred with Aisha, stood. "I trained with her black belt at 20, faster than anyone. Her dad taught her moves that could drop a bull." The Vipers edged toward the door, but found it barred by rising patrons, ex-cops, and locals with real grit, not street thug facades. "Apologize," one demanded. Victor flushed, cornered. "We didn't know she was what?" Aisha stepped forward, presence commanding. "Daughter of the agent you bullied to death. Black, human, or just capable of ending your games." Victor retreated instinctively. In the standoff, Aisha's hand slipped to her pocket, where she kept a compact self-defense kit pepper spray, a tactical pen from her dad's old gear, a nod to preparedness. All that Victor muttered. Ramirez approached, phone ready. Press charges. Aisha shook her head. No there. Leaving permanently, right, Mr. Kane? He nodded desperately. Yes, ma'am. Kneel, she commanded, voice like a sensei's snap, and Victor dropped. Groveling for forgiveness over the assault, slurs, threats, his crew humiliated. Accepting Aisha let him rise. The Vipers bolted, engines fading meekly into the rain. The bar breathed again. Detective Vargas, nearing Aisha. Why here? With your skills, your lineage, you could be anywhere. Aisha folded the ripped shirt neatly. Ma'am, I've had enough spotlight karate tournaments, Dad's shadow. I wanted normal, serving drinks, no pity or awe. But they pushed. Jake, awed. Aisha, I never knew. She smiled thinly, her first genuine smile in weeks. As the night unwound, talks flowed, ex-agents sharing tales, civilians absorbing the reveal, forging bonds. A young woman, fresh from a bad breakup, approached hesitantly. How do you stay strong after losing him? Aisha paused, cleaning. You rebuild, find purpose in the everyday, like this bar. By close, dusty corner felt transformed, charged with respect. Aisha, no longer invisible, was empowered, her karate ethos gleaming in quiet fortitude. The next day, buzz spread, pulling more patrons. But Aisha aproned up, serving as ever, her peace redefined, not hiding, but standing against shadows that dared claim her. The evening had begun routinely for Aisha, arriving mid-afternoon amid the drizzle, parking her compact sedan in the staff spot. Trunk holding a gym bag with GI and gloves, remnants of a mindset viewing each shift as a potential skirmish. Inside, the bar was subdued, the afternoon crowd, sparse retirees at cards, commuters dodging rush. Jake greeted. Stormy night ahead. Heard some gang might hit. Aisha shrugged, tying her apron. We'll manage. Her scan was automatic. Exits clear. Improv weapons like bottles. Patrons stable. Hours passed. She moved efficiently, refilling nuts. Chatting sparingly with regulars like old Mr. Wilkins, a Korean war vet who ordered soda and tipped in dimes, sharing war yarns without reciprocity. As night fell, vibe shifted, the door slamming. To admit the Viper's presence draining the room, chats halting. Victor led, bulk blocking the entry, surveying like a conqueror. His crew dispersed, demanding discounts, crude laughter laced with slurs. Eyes lingering on Aisha. Comments whispered but heard. She thinks she fits in. Aisha served, evading touches, ignoring barbs. Mind flashing to dojo harassments where she'd learned to de-escalate or dominate silently. When Victor cornered her on the protection scam, demands rising to grabs the collar rip wasn't mere assault. It unveiled the pendant, a map of her heritage, agent's badge from ops in cartel dens, karate charm from her first Dan test. Patrons gasped, recognizing the symbol, FBI valor. Ramirez's whisper carried weight, her scars from street patrols linking to Aisha's fire. As Victor stuttered, Aisha recited his sins from discreet checks on police feeds she monitored habitually. Sealing his route, the bar morphed from tinderbox to court, locals rising not violently, but solidly. Their collective backbone, a barrier the Vipers couldn't pierce. The knelt apology was reckoning, Victor's voice breaking on slurs. Violence, vowing change under Aisha's gaze. As they fled, cheers subdued, toasts to Aisha waved off, duties resumed. Inside, a flame reignited the fighter in her stirring anonymity, luxury, and integrity eternal. Talks lingered past Las Vargas on FBI days, haze on dojo battles. Aisha listening, bonds forming. Jake closed, admitting, "You're incredible," Aisha corrected, "just enduring." Her smile hints at depths. Night ended with Aisha driving through rain, wind carrying urban scents. Mind replaying, not regret, but resolve. Tomorrow, the bar would hum, secret out, healing invisibility. Yet the tale rippled texts, videos discreet, legend of the black. Karate master humbling vipers becoming lore. Drawing queries, she declined, favoring the bar's haven. Days later, uptick in business agents from downtown driving in, seeking solidarity. Aisha Hub, unwittingly, service beyond drinks, ears lent, advice in wisdom. Adapt, overcome, she'd echo Dad's mantras. But that initial clash set transformations. Unforeseen a shatter, echoing to respect's symphony. Aisha's path from shade to shine started with that tear. Scars, not flaws, but armor. Pendant, not trinket, but identity, carving a new way in Chicago's storm. Deeper, Aisha's inner world churned with triggered recalls Dad's scent of aftershave and gun oil. Echoes of his commands in her ears. Weight of choices saving lives but costing his. She remembered joining karate at 10, a black girl from tough blocks seeking an outlet beyond the streets. Classes forging her, black belt testing limits Chicago's chill, dojo's sweat blending in flashbacks. But the bar clash anchored her, proving civilian turf had wars. Slurs stung, mirroring bias even in GIs, but response measured prejudice to defeat. Ramirez's kinship meant worlds a bridge between the cop and agent realms. Vargas's stories paralleled generations due to bound. Hayes's training memory brought thanks for partners piecing the fighters whole. Locals stand heartened, community versus threats. Victor's shame satisfied justice, delayed. Jake's respect spurred mentoring, guiding his queries. The young woman's plea resonated. Aisha's words from grief counseling attended sporadically, integrating loss. As dawn broke, Aisha trained in the park, rain cleansing, mind sharpening. Ready for the shift, her chapter pivoting from concealment to embrace the karateka alive. Guarding her tribe with bruise and banter, legacy unfolding unexpectedly. So, Aisha Johnson's arc truly launched from broken glass to shattered delusions. Narrative of victory over adversity etched in a small Chicago bar turned legendary via one woman's spirit. The air in Dusty Corner still thrummed with the confrontations. Afterglow, jukebox crooning a soulful Aretha Franklin track, underscoring the gravity. Aisha stood central, torn shirt discarded like shed skin, tank top revealing the pendant swaying gently. Scars from rigorous katas dotted her arms, tales of perseverance louder than words. Each a testament to life, hidden till Victor's folly ripped. Her veil? It was a rainy evening in Chicago's fringes. Dusty corner haven for cheap pints and weary souls, now stage for justice. Victor stood petrified, fist clutching fabric, face ashen, snake tattoo seeming to recoil from his blunder. His vipers, once encircling menacingly, fidgeted, confidence fleeing like shadows at dawn. Patron struckers, cops, locals watched agape, phones capturing. The bar was a forge where histories clashed. Aisha's bearing shifted, submissive waitress gone, replaced by a karateka's poise who'd faced black belts fiercer than thugs. Mr. Kane, her voice firm, mask dropped. Shirts on you. Words struck like a gavel, Victor's eyes bulging. My name how? Aisha pivoted, pendant glinting. Her eyes swept, logging details habit from Dad's simulations where oversight cost dear. Victor Kane, she intoned coolly. Paroled 15 after assault on federal agent Marcus Johnson, my father during that raid. Mocked him as he died, started vipers for extortion from Gary to Joliet. Wanted in 9 fires, 5 beatings, 1 ICU case last week. Silence, vacuumed. Stool creaked as Vargas leaned in, eyes recognizing. Aisha Marcus's girl. He bragged about your belt test in briefings. Saved my team in 17 sting. Aisha's stance is acknowledged. He credited you, detective. Said your intel was gold. Hayes stood, voice thick. Sparred her last month's she's lightning. Dad's moves in her blood. Aisha's hand touched the pocket. Kid Dad's legacy, tools for survival, though she'd hoped never to deploy in civies. Vipers backed, path blocked by patrons' ex-enforcers, postures drilled. Sorry time, one said. Victor reddened. Didn't know, Aisha advanced. Know what? I'm his daughter. Black, able to dismantle you. Victor stepped back, crew glancing nervously. Tension hummed, eyes on Aisha. Scars, courage's map, pendant honor's badge. Ramirez neared, phone out. Charges? No, Aisha said, eyes on Victor. They're gone for good, aren't you? Voice edged, safety click. Victor bobbed. Yes, County off Lametz. Kneel. She whipped, sensei sharp. Victor thudded down, mumbling, sorry for everything. Crew frozen, leader broken. You assaulted me, slurred my race, threatened my spot. Conversational steel. Where I've trained, you'd be dust. But here, civility spread word. This turf's protected by those who've lost more than you've taken. Nodding acceptance, Victor rose, crew fleeing into the rain. Bar exhaled, shifted to, ah. Vargas approached. Aisha, hiding. Why your talent? Blood you belong in bureau or academy. Aisha folded the shirt precisely. Respectfully, I've seen Glory's price journeys, Dad's funeral. Box of trophies home, nightmares persistent. Here for nobody. Poor drinks, no stares, as hero or orphan. Behind the bar, spare shirt on, buttoning as I spoke. But trouble hunts warriors, even disguised. Vargas nodded. Ghosts in wrinkles. Hey, join those scars from our last rondor. Proof you walk fire unscathed. Aisha's smile is grateful. Appreciate, but lost ones are heroes. I'm persistent. Jake, bat, unused, voiced awe. 6 months, no clue. Legend. Aisha laughed rare, genuine laugh. The point was invisibility. Jake, be Aisha, hot coffee, clean tables. But patrons resisted. Fate a night, a 40s woman, ex-guard, named Carla Ruiz, approached. Deployed 10 ever your level, but saw returns. Carrying heavy, Aisha wiped the glass, distant. Day by day. Build around the past, not a race. Find worth in simple, like slinging brews for respite needers. Sparks flew tales shared. Cartel busts, dojo triumphs, each thread a tapestry of endurance. Civilians listened, eyes opening to service's toll. Respect spilling. Night war, rhythm resumes differently, postures taller, talks open. Reveal unlocked visibility, permission. Young man, 22, dog tags peeking, neared hesitantly. Corporal Liam Tate, Afghanistan vet. Heard you on those thugs hiding. Who you are. How to live with loss. Aisha set the tray, full focus, mentor instinct. Live through, Corporal, pre-war, you're gone. Rebuild with remnants, mission to mission. Gestured bar. Mine, space for breathing, scars seen, not judged. Liam relaxed, lifeline grasped. Thanks. She let rank linger. Bond. Bar pulsed past 10. Drinks flowing, jukebox cash gravelly. Ramirez again, formality shed. Should have intervened sooner, saw your stance, ready always, but missed dots. Aisha shook her head, stacking precisely. Right called d'escalate first. Had it Ramirez chuckled? Guard myself no black belt, but I rack time. You're exceptional. Johnson, Aisha nodded. Every fighter matters. Exchange brief, heavy women served. Acknowledging unseen fights. By 11, the crowd thinned, and Aisha Jake cleaned up. He glanced curiously, asked, hesitant, blurted. From karate champ, agents. Kid to this. Miss Action, Aisha pondered, hands methodical. Some days clarity, purpose, but this mission too. Protect, serve peace. Paused, hid for 3 years, pretending not fighter. Tonight's standings answer. Jake nodded, grounded, closing near. Aisha alone, wiping mirror reflection, not a 10-year-old starting karate. Nor a grieving teen at dad's grave, but a new forged-in loss, tempered choice. Pendant once burden, now anchor, truth embraced. Strength gift. Outside, Chicago rain hummed, lot empty. Vipers gone, tail spreading, black karate daughter felling gang. Drawing eyes, perhaps trouble. But Aisha was ready faced worse. Loss, bias, came stronger. Her post, barroom battlefield. Weapons, calm, coffee. Mission, respect over hate. Events, peeled anonymity, exposing purpose. Thought of dad, face vivid laughter in lessons. Final stand shielding team. Civilians saved. Names unknown, gratitude. Etched bar once hideout, now beacon. Vets gather, civilians learn, black woman scares, and the resilient stand tall. Locking up, stepping into the downpour, Aisha felt kit, pendant, shirt all tools. Stars hidden by clouds, whispered thanks to ghost fueling forward. Resolve steel. Protect ground with presence, not fear. Chapter closed. Aisha driving road. Dark and open. Heart steady. Tomorrow, new faces, stories serve her way. Dusty corner, her outpost. Legacy, testament to karateka, turning scars into strength. Silence roar, echoing beyond Chicago night. The neon of Dusty Corner flickered against the relentless Chicago rain, casting erratic glows over the puddled lot where vehicles huddled denser than usual for a stormy weeknight. Weeks post-clash, the bar morphed from a dive to a magnet for those seeking solidarity, drawn by whispers of Aisha's stand against vipers, turning it beyond a watering hole. Inside, air buzzed new jukebox, mixing blues with hip-hop, notes mingling purposeful chats. Aisha navigated with precision, fresh shirt, crisp on frame, curls ponytail. Posture, confident no hunching, eyes meeting with quiet assurance, karateka bearing speaking battles won in dojos and life. Bar magnet for ex-agents, locals from blocks. Tales of Aisha's pendant reveal humbling victor. Yet she shunned the spotlight, serving, wiping, redirecting queries to other stories. Mission, space respect trumps divide, scars honored. Transformation, palpable walls now memorabilia, faded FBI patch, karate GI sleeve, photo of Marcus in action. Corner shelf books on self-defense, left for sharing. Weeknights, her suggestion became defense nights gatherings, where ex-cops, karate enthusiasts shared over discounts. Tonight fuller, grizzled retirees, young vets, civilians, curious agents, daughter bar. Aisha, balanced tray, aware exits, mood, trouble, potential recon habit. Even Civi, paused to refill Vargas's coffee. Evening Aisha, turned this special. Aisha smiled faintly. Just job hot coffee, clean tables. Vargas chuckled. More. Belonging place. As cleared, the young man approached, built athletic eyes, haunted. Private First Class Jamal Reed, back from tour. Heard your story standing up to those punks. How to reintegrate. Aisha set the tray, attention full. Don't reintegrate, build anew. Old you gone. Piece by piece, find mission small, real. Gestured bar. Mine, seen, not judged. Yours, Jamal's eyes, missed it, held. Maybe mechanics fixed Humvees over there. Aisha, encouraging. Start, step. Day, skills, their use. Jamal exhaled, weightless, and Aisha handed soda. Next week, talk more. He nodded, straighter. Night hummed, bar organism, pulsed stronger post-confront. Ramirez sipped water, counter-scanning cop-like. Regularly. Since drawn community. Trouble. Johnson used quiet. Now pilgrimage. Aisha laughed, wiping precise. Blame cane-ripped shirt. Ramirez grinned. Softened. Seriously created, sacred. Aisha shrugged. Bar. People safe. Holding line. Ramirez understood Aisha guarding the sanctuary ethos, repurposed peace. Midnight near, package arrived, courier grizzled. For Aisha Johnson, behind the bar, opened carefully. Fingers on metal. Dad's commendation medal. Note, Marcus left. This thought back. Agent Hayes. Tyrone, dojo mate, turned contact. Gesture, sacrifice, nod. Aisha held. Pulled to that raid night. Sirens, blood, pain, suppressed. Stay strong. Didn't cry fighters don't, but throat tight, pinned metal by photo. Dad in uniform, smiling pre-loss. Caption. Hero of Chicago, 2018. Whispered, thanks, Dad. Jake joined. That's him. Damn. Aisha turned. Not talk, but did all. I breathe. Jake hesitated. Thinking your influence. Aisha sharpened. Your reasons, not mine. Tacky's heart. Sleep, soul. Ready pay. Jake's jaw set. Spark like her at 18. Joining karate escape streets, unknowing cost, till scarred. Bar. Quiet, closing patrons out. Tips, nods. Ruiz lingered. Stacking. Changed place home for us. Aisha paused. Idea. No explanation of weight. Ruiz nodded. Memories flickering. Kinship. As cleaned a couple approached civilians. Miss Johnson heard teachers bring students to how resilience. Aisha blinked. Bar, not museum. Talk dusty aisle. Guide, no hero just truth. Beamed. Left Aisha muttering. Out hand. Jake laughed. You started karateka. Dusty returned morning. Aside during rush. Heard low-K. Time off. Could start an academy with skills. Aisha tied tighter. Tables. Wait. Busier soon. Every ex-agent wants beer where the agent's daughter dropped the gang. Dusty chuckled. Right business up. Thanks you. Keep words lingered Aisha's heart of Dusty. Pulse her resolve. Weeks deep in defense. Nights ritual. Crowds far. Stories raw. Aisha listened to practical advice. Ground self to PTSD vet. Journal. Burn if needed. Too haunted. Civilians drawn. Questions respectful. Eyes open. Cost. One night, a reporter slipped notepad. No story this them. Gesturing vets pooling. Reporter left. Legend grew social. Halls. Basements. Healing was subtle still woke at 3 a.m. Heart racing. Raid flashbacks. Now jogged lakeside. Rain grounding. Rhythm counter chaos. Started support group. Listening. Solace. And silence. Kit apron. Added notebook. Names needing call. Coffee. Therapy. Nudge. Pendant opens slow nights. Clink survival anthem. Evening. Jamal returned. A mechanic's job. You. Shyly proud. Aisha shook. You found the mission. Warmth like dad's hug. Pre-class. 1 month post. New photo wall. Aisha, Jamal, Vargas, toasting sodas. Corners guardians. Relented. Knowing. Community. Revenue spiked. Extra staff. Aisha constant. Shifts rhythm. Soda, Wilkins, beers, vets. Word young couple students visited. Wide-eyed learning sacrifice from memorabilia. Aisha's explanations. Didn't glorify duty. Loss. Rebuild. Words resonated with kids. Seeing a hero, but a human cost. Quiet afternoon. Letter arrived bureau channels. From cartel survivor dad saved. Gave future. Folded kit. Weight beside spray. Proof mattered. Told none, but Jake noticed the quiet. Good. Nodded. Night hung a small FBI pin by metal. Tribute to dad. Pieces rebuilt. Dusty Corner Haven, a testament of resilience, where a black karate daughter turned hate moments into unity legacy. Peace in wearing scars openly, a pendant badge, service, is ongoing, not strikes, but service, not war zone, but bar. Mission, protect, uplift, endure. Locking one night, stars piercing clouds. Whisper semper fi to ghost, strong bones, heart. Bar sacred, vet solace, civilians understanding. Aisha beacon service meaning. Journey beginning, etched laughter, stories, connections, making Dusty more than a place boast purpose. Peace. The storm outside Dusty Corner raged on, rain lashing. The windows like accusations from the heavens, but inside, the real tempest brewed in the eyes of Victor Kane as he stared at the pendant dangling from Aisha Johnson's neck. Its silver surface catching the dim bar lights and throwing back reflections of a past he'd buried under layers of violence and denial. His grip on her torn shirt loosened involuntarily, the fabric slipping from his fingers like sand. As the realization hit him like a freight train, the badge number etched, there wasn't just any FBI relic. It was Marcus Johnson's, the agent he'd cornered in that forsaken warehouse 7 years ago, mocking his resolve while his goons delivered blows that sealed the man's fate. Aisha, her breath steady despite the adrenaline surging through her veins like electricity, felt the shift in the room. The collective intake of breath from patrons who'd moments ago been frozen in fear, now turning to something sharper, more electric anticipation. Victor's face contorted, a mix of rage and dawning horror, his snake tattoo seeming to writhe as if alive. And he lunged forward again, not with words this time, but with a clumsy swing aimed at her jaw, bellowing, "You think a dead man's trinket scares me?" But Aisha was no stranger to such telegraphed attacks. Her black belt in karate, earned through sweat-soaked nights in dojos where her father's voice echoed in every kata, had prepared her for worse than this lumbering thug. With a fluid pivot on her left foot, she sidestepped the punch, her right hand snapping up in a knife-hand block that redirected his momentum, followed by a swift elbow strike to his solar plexus that expelled the air from his lungs in a guttural wheeze. He staggered back, clutching his midsection. But two of his Viper cronies surged forward, one with a broken bottle glinting menacingly, the other cracking his knuckles like he thought brute force alone would suffice. Aisha didn't hesitate. Her training kicked in like muscle memory. A legacy from Marcus, who'd blended FBI close-quarters combat with Shotokan karate, teaching her in their backyard under the harsh Chicago streetlights that the key to victory was economy of motion. She dropped low, sweeping her leg in a low crescent kick that hooked the bottle wielder's ankle, sending him crashing into a table with a splintering crack, bottles shattering and beer foaming across the floor. The second Viper swung wildly, but she parried with an open palm deflection, her fingers curling into a ridge hand strike that connected with his throat. Not hard enough to kill, but sufficient to drop him gagging to his knees, clutching his windpipe. As tears streamed from his eyes, the bar erupted then, not in chaos, but in a chorus of gasps and murmurs. The patron's fear giving way to awe as Aisha stood tall, her tank top clinging to her sweat-dampened skin, the pendant swinging like a pendulum of justice. Victor, recovering his breath, roared in fury, "Get her! All of you!" But his command faltered as Aisha locked eyes with him, her voice cutting through the din like a sensei's command in a silent dojo. "Victor Kane, you don't remember me. But I remember you the night you ambushed my father in that warehouse on the south side, calling him a snitch while your boys beat him senseless. He was undercover, closing in on your Viper precursors, and you made sure he didn't walk out alive. But he did long enough to warn me about snakes like you." The words hung heavy, laced with details only someone connected to the case could know, details from the sealed FBI files her father's old partners had shared in hushed tones at his funeral. Files that painted Victor as the architect of a racket that funneled drugs through fake trucking companies, extorting bars as a side hustle to fund their operations. Victor's crew hesitated, their earlier swagger crumbling as they glanced at each other, uncertainty creeping in like the rain seeping. Under the door, one of them, a burly man with a scarred lip from old knife fights, muttered, "Boss, if she's Johnson's kid, ... But Victor silenced him with a glare, though his own hands trembled slightly. The memory of Marcus's unyielding stare flashing back to the agent who'd refused to break even as blood pooled around him, whispering codes into his hidden mic that brought the feds swarming. Aisha pressed her advantage, her stance shifting to a defensive guard, feet planted shoulder-width apart, ready for the next wave. "You thought you got away, clean paroled early for good behavior, starting the Vipers, to pick up where you left off. But I've got your file memorized. The arson on that diner in Gary after they refused your protection. The assault on the witness who flipped on your lieutenant. The drive-by that put a rival in the ICU. All tied back to you through shell companies. And burner phones my dad traced before you silenced him." The bar's energy crackled now, patrons rising slowly, their faces hardening. Officer Ramirez drawing his off-duty piece with deliberate calm, his voice booming, "Stand down, Kane. You're done here." But it wasn't just him. From the pool table, a grizzled ex-FBI analyst named Harlan Brooks, who'd consulted on Marcus's cases and frequented Dusty Corner for its anonymity, stepped forward, his wire-rimmed glasses fogging slightly as he added, "She's right, I pulled those records myself back in 19. Your prints were all over that warehouse." Victor, but witnesses clammed up out of fear. Not anymore. The Vipers shifted uneasily, their circle breaking as another regular. A former karate instructor named Sensei La, who'd trained Aisha in her teens after her father's passing, moved to flank her, his black belt evident in his poised stance. "You picked the wrong night, boys," Lee said, his tone even but edged with warning. Victor, cornered and outnumbered in spirit, if not numbers, snarled and charged again, this time with a haymaker fueled by desperation. But Aisha was ready. She ducked under the swing, her palm shooting up in a rising block that jarred his arm, followed by a front kick to his knee that buckled him forward. As he stumbled, she grabbed his wrist in a joint lock, twisting it behind his back with the precision of 1,000 repetitions, forcing him to his knees with a pained grunt that echoed through the bar. His crew, seeing their leader subdued by this unassuming waitress, faltered completely. One tried a half-hearted rush, but was met by Ramirez's drawn weapon and a stern, "Don't even think it," while another backed toward the door, only to find it blocked by Brooks and a cluster of warehouse workers who'd grabbed pool cues like improvised bow staffs. Aisha held Victor firm, her voice low and unyielding as she leaned in. "You mocked my father's body that night. Called him weak for fighting. Fair. But he taught me better strength isn't in the bully's fist, it's in the defender's heart. Now, apologize not just for tonight, for the slurs, the threats, the grab butt, for what you did to him, to my family." Victor's face twisted in humiliation, sweat beading on his brow as the bar watched, phones recording the scene that would soon go viral in underground circles, a reckoning long overdue. He muttered through gritted teeth, "Sorry, ... for everything. The names, the hands, your old man they didn't mean." But Aisha tightened the lock slightly, eliciting a yelp. "Mean it, Kane, and vow it ends here. No more rackets in this county. No more shadows over places like this." He nodded frantically, voice cracking. "I swear Vipers are done here. Whole areas off limits." The apology wasn't just words. It was a fracture in his empire, broadcast live to witnesses who'd feared him for years. Releasing him, Aisha stepped back, her chest heaving but posture impeccable, the pendant resting against her skin like a shield. Victor scrambled up, gesturing wildly for his crew to retreat, their boots scraping in haste as they bolted into the storm. Engines revving weakly against the wind, their reign of terror punctured in one swift encounter. The bar let out a collective sigh, tension dissolving into a buzz of excited chatter. Patrons clapping Aisha on the back as she straightened her torn shirt. Jake rushing over with a spare from the back room, his eyes wide with disbelief. Aisha, that was ... insane. You took down 3 of them like it was nothing. She managed a wry smile, adrenaline fading into a familiar ache, the same post-bar exhaustion from dojo nights where she'd push her limits to honor her father's memory. Channeling grief into strikes that echoed his lessons. But this wasn't a mat. This was real, and the victory tasted bittersweet, stirring ghosts she'd tried to lay to rest. As the crowd settled, Sensei Lee approached, his eyes gleaming with pride. Your form was flawless. That joint lock, straight from the advanced seminar we did last year, Marcus would be beaming. Aisha nodded, throat tight. He always said, control the fight, don't let it control you. Guess it stuck. Conversations ignited around them. Ramirez, holstering his gun and pulling out his phone to call in a report, ensuring the Viper's flight didn't go unreported. While Brooks shared anecdotes from Marcus's glory days, regaling a group of wide-eyed truckers with tales of undercover ops that dismantled smuggling rings. His voice animated. Johnson once posed as a mechanic for 3 months. Wiring bugs into cartel trucks brought down a whole network without firing a shot. The civilians listened rapt, some for the first time grasping the web of danger that lurked beneath Chicago's surface. Their respect for Aisha blooming as they pieced together her lineage. A middle-aged woman named Rita, a nurse who'd patched up victims of Viper shakedowns in the ER, sidled up. Her voice soft. I treated your dad once after a minor scrape in 16. He was tough, but kind. Said he had a daughter who could kick his ass in sparring. Aisha chuckled faintly, the sound rare amid her usual reserve. He let me win sometimes to build confidence. The exchange lightened the air, turning the bar from a site of near violence into an impromptu memorial, stories flowing like the beer Jake poured on the house, toasts raised not just to Aisha's takedown, but to Marcus's enduring legacy. Yet amid the camaraderie, Aisha felt the weight of exposure. The anonymity she'd cultivated shattered. Her part-time gig, now a spotlight. A young patron, a college kid named Mia, studying criminal justice, approached tentatively. How do you do it? Face guys like that without fear. Aisha paused, wiping a spill with deliberate strokes. Fear's always there, Ritz fuel. Dad taught me to channel it, turn it into focus. Like in karate, breathe, assess, act. Mia nodded, inspired, jotting notes on her phone as if for a paper. The interaction sparking a chain where others shared their brushes with injustice. From muggings to workplace harassment, bonding over resilience. As the night deepened, the rain easing to a drizzle, Ramirez pulled Aisha aside near the jukebox, his expression grave but approving. You could have been an agent yourself. Your moves? That intel? Bureau material. She shook her head. Tried the application once after his funeral. But I chose the dojo path. Teach others to defend, not chase shadows. He clapped her shoulder. Well, tonight you chased them off. Proud of you, kid. The praise lingered as cleanup began, Jake sweeping shards while Aisha restocked their rhythm, syncing like training partners. He broke the silence. Ever think about teaching classes here? After this, folks might sign up. She considered the idea of planting seeds, a self-defense workshop in the back room, empowering locals against threats like the Vipers. Maybe. Dad always said, knowledge is the best weapon. By closing, The bar emptied reluctantly, patrons lingering for one last story. The atmosphere transformed. Chairs pushed back, not in fear, but fellowship, the neon signs casting warmer glows. Aisha locked up alone, stepping into the cooling night. The pendant cool against her skin. A reminder that her father's DSN wasn't buried, lived in her strikes, her words, her stand. Driving home through slick streets, she replayed the fight not with regret, but analysis. The sweep could have been tighter, the lock faster. But victory was victory, and for the first time since losing him, she felt not just survival, but purpose turning grief into guardianship. One bar brawl at a time. The ripples began immediately, by morning. Texts buzzed from friends who'd heard whispers, videos circulating discreetly among cop networks. The tale of the agent's daughter dismantling the Vipers gaining traction. Dusty returned midday eyes wide at the recount, offering her the day off, but she declined. Apron on, serving lunch specials with renewed vigor. Business ticked up, curious ex-agents dropping in, sharing war stories over sandwiches, turning Dusty into a hub for informal debriefs. Aisha became the quiet center, listening to tales of busts gone wrong, offering karate tips in return. Stance wide, hips low balance is everything. One afternoon, a Viper associate slunk in, not for trouble, but surrender, handing over a surf flash drive with racket details, muttering, "Canes, skipping town, use this." She passed it to Ramirez, kickstarting an investigation that would unravel the gang's remnants. Weeks blurred into a new normal. Defense nights formalized. Aisha leading sessions in the parking lot, teaching basic blocks to women from battered shelters. Their laughter echoing as they practiced punches, empowerment blooming under her guidance. Mia returned with classmates, filming a short doc on urban heroes. Aisha reluctantly agreeing to an interview. It's not about meets, about standing when others can't. The exposure brought challenges, anonymous threats via mail, but she countered with vigilance, installing cameras donated by Brooks, her network expanding like roots. Sensei Lee partnered for advanced classes, drawing dojo alumni who sparred, lightly sharing philosophies. Karate isn't violence, it's harmony through strength. Personal growth unfolded subtly. Aisha visited her father's grave more, pendant in hand, whispering updates. Took down your old foe. Dad, your lessons saved the day. Therapy sessions, long avoided, became routine, unpacking layers of loss amid the adrenaline highs. One evening, Jamal from earlier confided his PTSD struggles over a soda. The tour broke something. How do you mend? She shared. Piece by piece, train the body, heal the mind. Join my class, sweat it out. He did, finding solace in the katas, a bond forming like siblings in arms. The bar evolved to walls adorned with self-defense posters, a corner dedicated to Marcus, his photo metal replicas inspiring passersby. Revenue surged, Dusty hiring help, but Aisha remained the anchor, her shifts blending service with subtle mentorship. A local news crew sniffed around, but she deflected. Focus on the community, not the fight. Yet the legend grew, empowering whispers in Chicago's underbelly. Don't mess with the agent's kin. Months in, a letter from the Bureau arrived, commendation for aiding the Viper takedown, offering recruitment again. She pondered, but chose her path. Academy dreams solidified. Planning a center for at-risk youth, funding from donations sparked by her story. Victor's arrest made headlines, nabbed at the border. His empire crumbled, justice circling back. Aisha watched the report at the bar, patrons cheering, but she raised a glass silently. To Dad, to resilience. The chapter of secrets exploding closed, not with fanfare, but quiet determination. Aisha's world wider. Her strength shared, turning one night's burst into enduring light. Deeper currents swirled in Aisha's mind as she navigated this new chapter. Memories of her father's final days resurfacing like bubbles in a stirred pot. He'd been more than an agenta storyteller, weaving tales of stakeouts into bedtime stories, masking dangers with humor to shield her young heart. "Remember, kiddo," he'd say, ruffling her curls after a karate lesson, "the badge isn't power, it's responsibility." Those words echoed now as she led her first full class at Dusty Corner. A dozen women from diverse walks, single moms, office workers, survivors of abuse mirroring her form in the cleared space behind the bar, their GI. Tops borrowed, punches tentative at first, but gaining force. "Exhale on the strike," she instructed, demonstrating a reverse punch that whistled through the air, her body a symphony of controlled power. One student, a Latina woman named Sophia, who'd fled a violent ex, hesitated. "What if I'm not strong?" "Enough." Aisha knelt, eye level. "Strength starts here," tapping her temple, then here, her heart. "My dad faced cartels with nothing but wits. You can face anything." The session ended in sweat and smiles, Sophia landing her first solid kick, the group bonding over shared vulnerabilities. This wasn't a repetition of the fight. It was evolution. Aisha channeling combat into creation, her dojo dreams manifesting. In makeshift mats, evenings brought variety guest speakers like Ramirez on street smarts, Brooks on digital security, turning the bar into a fortress of knowledge. Aisha's routine adapted, mornings jogging Lake Michigan trails, visualizing katas against crashing waves, afternoons prepping classes, evenings serving with an ear for troubles. One night, a viper remnant tested the waters, slipping undisguised. But her sharpened senses caught the tattoo peeking from his sleeve. Instead of confrontation, she served him coffee, staring pointedly until he fled. No violence needed, reputation, her shield now. Personal connections deepened. Jake enrolled in classes, his clumsy blocks improving, confiding dreams of law school. "Inspired by her, you make it seem possible," he said. She replied, "It is Dad proved that." Mia's doc screened locally, drawing crowds, Aisha fielding questions, post-viewing fear. Use it, loss, honor it. The acclaim unnerved her at times, flashbacks to paparazzi at Dad's funeral. But she was grounded in routine, a touchstone. A breakthrough came during a solo spar with shadows in the empty bar, imagining Victor's face on a punching bag. But, releasing anger with each strike, forgiveness budding not for him, but herself. Therapy helped unpack. "You fought for him that night," the counselor noted. "Now, fight for you." She did, volunteering at youth centers, teaching kids from her old blocks the basics. Their eager faces mirroring her younger self. One boy, orphaned. Like her, excelled, Aisha seeing Dad's spark in him. "Keep practicing," she encouraged. The Vipers' fallout rippled. Indictments rolled in, assets seized, communities breathing easier. Aisha testified anonymously, her words sealing fates without glory. Back at Dusty, celebrations were subdued, a cake from Rita, toasts from regulars. To Aisha the Guardian, they cheered. She blushed. To all of us. The explosion of secrets had forged alliances, her isolation shattered into community, and strength multiplied. As summer faded, Aisha stood on the lakeshore at dawn, pendant in hand, whispering to the wind, "Thanks, Dad, your legacy lives." The chapter's blast had illuminated paths forward, Aisha stepping boldly, her karate heart beating strong. The dawn broke over Chicago with a crisp autumn chill, the first hints of fall whispering through the leaves as Aisha Johnson unlocked the doors of Dusty Corner. The bar's neon sign humming faintly in the early light, a beacon that had evolved from a simple roadside stop into a symbol of defiance and renewal. Weeks had passed since the explosive confrontation with Victor Kane and his Black Vipers. And the echoes of that night lingered not in fear, but in transformation. The air inside carried a new scent, not just of spilled beer and polished wood, but of purpose, sweat from impromptu training sessions, and the faint aroma of herbal teas brewed for post-class wind-downs. Aisha, her black curls tied back as always, moved with the same precise efficiency. But there was a lightness in her step now, a subtle shift from guarded anonymity to embraced visibility. Her father's pendant openly displayed against her collarbone, like a declaration of heritage. The bar had become more than a workplace. It was her fortress, her academy, her tribute to Marcus Johnson, the federal agent whose sacrifice had ignited her path. As she flipped on the lights, revealing walls now adorned with motivational posters of karate legends and framed articles about community resilience, she reflected on how one ripped shirt had unraveled a chain of events leading to this dusty corner as a haven where women from the neighborhood gathered not just for drinks, but for empowerment, learning self-defense under her guidance, turning personal vulnerabilities into collective strength. The classes had started small. Just a handful of regulars like Sophia from the first session, who returned with friends in tow, their stories spilling out in quiet confessions during warm-ups dailies, of harassing exes, unsafe commutes, the everyday shadows that plagued urban life. Aisha structured the sessions meticulously, drawing from her black belt expertise and her father's hybrid teachings, blending karate's disciplined strikes with practical FBI evasion tactics. "We're not here to fight wars," she'd say at the start of each class, her voice steady and commanding, "but to win the battles life throws at us. Stance firm, eyes forward, let's begin." The back room, once a storage for kegs, had been cleared into a makeshift dojo, mats donated by Sensei Lee, mirrors scavenged from a closing gym reflecting determined faces as participants practiced front kicks and wrist releases. One evening, as the group worked on escape holds, a new face joined: Lena, a 30-something accountant with bruised confidence from a recent mugging, her hands shaking as she attempted a basic block. Aisha paired her with Sophia, now a confident intermediate, encouraging. "Feel the power in your core, it's there, waiting." By session's end, Lena landed a solid palm heel strike, her laughter mixing with tears of release, the group applauding, in a circle of support that extended beyond the mats into shared coffees and life advice. These moments weren't mere repetitions of training. They were lifelines, each woman's progress a unique thread weaving a tapestry of community healing. Far removed from the singular brawl that had sparked it all, word of the classes spread organically, through whispers in beauty salons and posts on local forums, drawing a diverse crowd: immigrant mothers seeking protection for their daughters, college students navigating campus threats, even elderly widows wanting to reclaim independence. Aisha adapted curricula dynamically. No two sessions were identical, incorporating scenario-based drills one week, like simulating a crowded subway grab, and mindfulness breathing the next, teaching how to de-escalate before striking. "My dad always said, awareness is your first weapon," she'd explain, demonstrating peripheral vision scans honed from years of dojo vigilance. Challenges arose, not from external threats, but internal doubts. In one class, a heated debate erupted, when a participant questioned karate's relevance in a gun-heavy city. Aisha paused the drill, gathering the group. "This isn't about invincibility, it's about options. A split-second advantage can save lives." She shared an anonymized story from her father's files, a sting-op where quick reflexes turned an ambush into arrests, inspiring nods and renewed focus. To keep engagement fresh, she guessed instructors: a yoga teacher for flexibility integration, a therapist for trauma-informed defense, ensuring variety that prevented stagnation. Each class building on the last without echoing prior rhythms. Parallel to the bar's rebirth, the downfall of the Black Vipers unfolded like a meticulously planned operation. Aisha's behind-the-scenes efforts bearing fruit. The flash drive from the defecting associate had been a goldmine: encrypted ledgers detailing extortion routes, witness intimidation logs, even audio clips of Victor barking orders during arsons. She'd handed it over to Ramirez, who looped in. Federal contacts from Marcus's old unit, sparking a multi-agency probe that snowballed rapidly. Subpoenas flew, safe houses raided, low-level vipers flipping like dominoes for reduced sentences. Aisha monitored from afar, attending briefings incognito. Her input crucial in decoding coded entries her father had taught her to spot. One tense afternoon, she testified via secure video link, her voice unwavering as she detailed Victor's warehouse assault on Marcus, linking it to the gang's origins. He didn't just kill an agent, she stated. Pendant visible on camera, he tried to extinguish. A legacy, but legacies endure. The judge's nod was validation, and days later, headlines blared. Viper Kingpin captured in border sting. Victor's mugshot splashed across screens, his empire dismantled, assets frozen to fund victim reparations. The victory wasn't flashy. It was procedural, a quiet justice that contrasted the bar fight's drama, allowing Aisha to close that chapter without fanfare, focusing instead on the lives she was rebuilding. With the Vipers neutralized, Dusty Corner flourished as a community pillar, its haven status attracting partnerships, local shelters referring clients to classes, police offering joint workshops on reporting crimes. Aisha navigated the growth with strategic poise, hiring an assistant instructor, a former student named Kira, a quick learner with her own survival story, to handle overflow sessions, freeing her for one-on-ones. Kira's addition brought fresh dynamics, her street-style adaptations to karate moves, like incorporating pepper spray drills, kept curricula evolving, preventing any sense of routine monotony. Evenings post-class turned social, women lingering for mocktails and storytelling circles, sharing triumphs like Sophia confronting a harasser at work, or Lena walking home confidently for the first time in months. These gatherings fostered deeper connections, evolving into support networks, a carpool for night shifts, a buddy system for errands, turning individual empowerment into communal armor. Aisha facilitated without dominating, her role shifting to mentor, drawing satisfaction from watching transformations, a shy teen mastering a roundhouse kick, her grin wide as she declared, "I feel unstoppable." Personal peace eluded Aisha at first, the adrenaline of the Viper takedown stirring old wounds. Nights plagued by vivid dreams of the warehouse, her father's voice fading in echoes. She combated it with intensified routines, dawn meditations by the lake, visualizing energy, flows from karate forms to dispel shadows. Therapy deepened, sessions exploring not just loss but inheritance, how Marcus's DSN was a double-edged sword, burden and blessing. "You're not replacing him," her counselor noted, "you're extending him." This insight sparked a project, digitizing his old journals, anonymized excerpts shared in classes as wisdom bites. Like vulnerability is the root of strength, embrace it to grow. The process was cathartic, turning pain into pedagogy, her grief alchemized into guidance that inspired participants to journal their journeys. One breakthrough came during a solo hike in a nearby forest preserve, autumn leaves crunching underfoot as she practiced katas amid rustling trees. A sudden clarity washing over her father's death wasn't an end, but a pivot, propelling her to protect in ways he couldn't. Returning home, she framed a photo of them sparring in the backyard, placing it beside her bed as a nightly affirmation. Inspiration rippled outward, Aisha's story becoming a quiet catalyst for broader change. A local nonprofit approached for collaboration, funding a mobile self-defense unit, a van equipped for pop-up classes in underserved areas, with Aisha at the helm for inaugural tours. The first outing targeted a housing project rife with domestic issues, women gathering warily at first, but warming as Aisha demonstrated simple escapes, their children watching wide-eyed, some joining in playful mimics. "Oh, this is for you too." She'd tell the kids, adapting moves into games, planting seeds early. Media interest peaked subtly a podcast interview on urban empowerment, where she emphasized justice isn't vengeance. It's prevention, community by community. The exposure drew donors, expanding the program without overwhelming her. Each step was measured to sustain momentum without burnout. Challenges tested and resolved. A skeptical councilman questioning the class's efficacy, prompting Aisha to organize a demo event at City Hall. Participants showcasing skills to applause and securing grants. Another hurdle, internal group dynamics, like jealousy among advanced students, was resolved through team-building relays that fostered unity over competition. As winter approached, Dusty Corner hosted its first Legacy Night, a fundraiser blending karate exhibitions with storytelling proceeds for the Academy Fund. The event buzzed. Demos of synchronized katas. Guest speakers, including Ramirez recounting Marcus's heroics, and a silent auction of self-defense gear. Aisha emceed modestly. Her highlight, a solo form dedicated to her father, movements flowing. Like a narrative of loss and rise, the crowd hushed, then erupting in ovation. Post-event, a surprise. The Bureau sent a plaque honoring Marcus's service, presented by his old partner, who whispered, "He'd be proud you're carrying the torch." Brighter. Tears pricked Aisha's eyes, but she held firm, toasting the room to resilience, to each other. The night raised enough to lease a dedicated space nearby. The Academy's birth imminent, classes diversifying into youth programs and senior adaptations. Ensuring inclusivity. Through it all, Aisha found equilibrium. Her life a balanced kata. Bar shifts for grounding, classes for giving. Personal pursuits like reading philosophy or exploring Chicago's hidden gems for recharge. Friendships blossomed dinners with Kira, discussing expansions. Coffee with Sophia, sharing dreams. Romance flickered tentatively with a fellow instructor met at a seminar, his gentle demeanor a counterpoint to her guarded heart. Dates involving sparring sessions that ended in laughter and building trust slowly. The Viper saga faded to footnotes, occasional updates from Ramirez confirming dismantlings. But Aisha focused forward, her DSN alive in every empowered step her students took. One crisp December morning, as snow dusted the streets, Aisha stood outside the new Academy site, keys in hand, pendant catching the sun. The sign read, Johnson Defense Center, Strength Through Legacy. Inside, mats awaited, walls ready for stories. She whispered to the wind, "We did it, Dad." Peace settling. Like fresh snow pain transmuted to power, inspiration eternal. The chapter of living legacy unfolded not in grand gestures, but in daily acts. Aisha's journey a testament to turning adversity into alliance, her spirit unbreakable. Guiding others toward their light. The Academy's opening marked a milestone. But Aisha ensured it wasn't a static endpoint. Programs evolved with input, like adding online modules for remote learners. Videos of basic techniques going viral locally, drawing inquiries from across states. Collaborations with schools integrated anti-bullying workshops. Kids role-playing scenarios with glee and learning empathy alongside elbows. Feedback loops kept freshness. Surveys, post-class, adjustments like incorporating cultural elements African. Dance rhythms into warm-ups for rhythm training, honoring her heritage while broadening appeal. Conflicts arose innovatively. A funding dip prompted creative solutions, like partnering with gyms for joint events, bartering space for endorsements, and sustaining without compromise. Mentorship extended personally. Jamal, now a regular, progressed to an assistant role, his PTSD managed through teaching, confiding, "You gave me purpose." Aisha nodded. we give each other. Family ties mended. 2 distant relatives, estranged post Marcus's death, reconnected via the center's newsletter. Visits bringing old photos and anecdotes that enriched her understanding of his roots. 1. Aunts shared recipes from Marcus's childhood. Aisha hosting potlucks where food fused with forms. Cultural nourishment complementing physical. Global echoes emerged. An email from a women's group in another city. Seeking franchise advice. Aisha, consulting virtually. Her model replicating without dilution. Awards trickled in a community hero nod from the mayor, humbly accepted with a speech crediting collective effort. Yet humility grounded her. Nights alone, she'd practice advanced katas, pushing limits to stay sharp, reminding herself growth never ceased as spring bloomed. The center hosted a tournament-friendly competition showcasing skills. Prizes symbolic like custom pendants echoing hers. Spectators cheered diverse victors, from teens to seniors, the unity palpable. Aisha, refereeing, felt profound fulfillment. DSN not just preserved, but proliferated. Pain's alchemy complete. In quieter moments, like sunset jogs. She'd reflect on the arc from shadowed server to beacon builder. Victor's defeat a catalyst. For creation, peace wasn't the absence of storm, but navigation through. Her father's voice internalized. Stand tall, kiddo, she did. Inspiring waves of Keen Chi-seung and Kang Els. Her legacy living, breathing, expanding eternally.